Hello, and welcome to another episode of Superpowers, the show where you get to experience the extraordinary. And in the past, we have had a number of guests that have been born with superpowers and they've been aware of them all their lives. And we've had other guests that have had experiences in their lives that have then led to their development of various superpowers. And today's guest is actually both of those things. She was born with psychic abilities and mediumship skill, and then after some experiences that we'll talk about, she developed abilities as a healer as well. So I would like to, everybody, welcome to our show today, Debra Martin. Hello, Debra. How are you?
Oh, great. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It's a joy to have you. I'm excited that you're here today. You have so many different things going on in your life, and you've had quite the journey. So I want to explore some of that and get so people kind of know who you are a little bit better. So why don't we start with just your early years and your awareness of your psychic and intuitive abilities.
That would be great. Okay, so when I was a little girl, probably around the age of 4, I started seeing spirit. And they would come to me at night while I was laying in bed. And I would see them like in front of my face. And that was scary. Like, what am I seeing? Is this real? But they would just stare at me. And so I would call downstairs, can I come downstairs? I don't want to sleep. And it was always like, no, Deborah, go back to bed. So in order for me to just get them to go away, I'd turn on my side and I would just start taking my nail and like carving in my dresser, like, oh, I think his name's Stephen SSS. I would sound that out, but it would distract me so I wouldn't have to think of them.
Yeah.
And then they would leave.
Right.
And so that was fearful. That was scary. I didn't understand it. And I had no one to explain it.
Right.
The world wasn't open to mediumship at that time or spirit coming to visit us. So I closed that door.
Yeah. Right.
And it wasn't until 1997 when spirit felt I was ready again. And I call these shifts. We all have shifts in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes the shifts will be happy. We get married. We might have babies. And sometimes they might be traumatic. And mine were traumatic to shake me enough to make me say, what just happened? Right?
Yeah.
So in 1997, I was on a freeway with 2 other women, and we were going in the slow lane. Mm-hmm. And what happened was there was a big truck with no windows, and he was coming from the fast lane, and he took our car out like this, and we spun, taking 40 feet of guardrail out.
Whoa.
Now we're facing oncoming traffic, but we're trapped in the car.
Oh man.
And everything is crunched, and it was horrific. It was traumatic, and we're like, what are we going to do? We can't get out. The driver actually broke her leg, so she couldn't even move. But there was nothing left of the car. If I showed you pictures, there was just this little pocket in the back seat where I was sitting, and that's where I landed.
Wow.
I mean, the metal, everything was gone.
Right.
But we had divine intervention that came and saved us. All of a sudden, someone appeared, took us out, moved us to the embankment, came and he kissed my forehead, and he said he'd see me again. And I said, wait. What do you mean you see me again? And I had my finger's bleeding. It really, really hurts. Can you help me?
Right.
And he took my finger and he put it in his mouth and he bit that ring. Now, if you press on that ring super hard, you can't bend it. Like I had even a man try to bend it on, like push down it. It doesn't bend. So for him to be able to bend it with his teeth, it was like, wow. But I have his teeth marks, so I know it was real.
Right.
He kissed me on the forehead. He said, you will be fine. And he went to the left. As he went to the left, to the right, we had 4 fire trucks, 5 ambulances. I mean, so much commotion.
Wow. Yeah.
So we asked, has anybody seen this man that saved us?
Right.
And no one saw him. So that opened my door to spirituality. How did that happen? I had heard the bang before it actually hit me. I was saying, please don't take us.
Mm-hmm.
It happened, and you start to think about all of that. You put the timing together.
Right. Yeah.
And questioning, like, how did that happen? So then I started going to seminars, Doreen Virtue, James Van Praagh, what is going on?
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of opened my door to the spirituality world. There's something more than this.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Question for you, just real quick, before you move on. I'm just curious, since this man appeared and he was able to, just bite on your metal ring and bend it into shape so you could pull it off. I'm curious, do you have memory of what he looked like? Or do you have memory of what it felt like being in his presence? That's I suppose within the context of the time, probably not. But do you remember what he looked like?
I cannot picture his face at all. I just felt this love.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
all I can remember. I can't even remember him lifting us up out of the car. I can't remember going to the embankment. It was like that was all a blur. I just ended up on the embankment, and here I
Right.
was. This person's in front of me. When something traumatic like that happens, your brain's not all right there, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I
Yeah.
even had to think, was I thinking right? There was a man there, right? That really helps
Yeah.
I could remember, right? But I
Uh-huh.
have these teeth marks that show it. So you start to question because you don't remember, but I do remember it was, because I was sitting down, so of course he looked larger.
Right. Yeah.
But just the kindness and the compassion and the love and the words, never forget the words, I will see you again.
Yeah. Right.
Wow,
Yeah.
what does that mean?
Yeah.
Um,
That's a good question,
one of the
actually. What
girls,
does that mean? And I'm guessing, because you haven't said that you did, that you haven't yet seen him again. So he may not have met while you were.
no,
Yeah.
I haven't. So I don't know if this was an angel that was sent. I
Right.
don't know how the divine intervention worked, but I do remember saying, "Please don't take us now."
Right.
I had three small children. I was single. They needed me.
Yeah.
Like and my other girlfriend, she was a single mom. So it was like, oh no, I thought about them immediately.
Right.
And
Yeah.
and that was it before impact. So I had a premonition before impact, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what got me. Like, how did that happen? But
Question for you,
no,
because you had come from, as a child, uh, experiences. You may not have realized that they were spiritual experiences, but you said that part of the process of reverse engineering this accident was that it opened you spiritually. So are you thinking reopened, or that this was like just a brand new sort of opening?
I think they reopened. I think what they did is they waited for the timing to when they thought that I was ready.
Ah, okay.
When would I pay attention? When was I going to be able to be open to this again? It was as if it was divinely planned.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
everything kind of happened in that order because the next step is I really wasn't listening to what they wanted me to do. I was
Mm-hmm.
just exploring and finding out what this was all about,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So I believe that these shifts have lessons for us,
Uh-huh.
and we have to kind of learn what those lessons are. I thought the lessons were, there's more to, explore that's out there. And
Right.
it felt great to be in that presence, and I was like in awe about what everybody was talking about, and I was
Yeah.
reading lots of books.
Yeah.
But then it was in 2002
Uh-huh.
that I was in another car accident.
Oh, geez.
And this time, yeah, I think they wanted to say, Deborah, get the hint right now,
Yeah.
right?
This
So,
lifetime was about improving your driving skills, I think.
oh, no, well, I wasn't even driving.
Oh.
Both times I wasn't driving. Like the
Yeah.
first time I wasn't driving, this time I was sitting in a left turn bay. So
Yeah.
it was like, I always thought, like, why am I the target?
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so this time I was in a left turn bay going to a friend's house, just sitting there waiting to cross.
Uh-huh.
And a man in a diabetic seizure, they were in pursuit to get him off the road.
Oh.
And I'm what stopped him. So he hit
Right.
me about 55 miles an hour. And he took my car and he spun it around into oncoming traffic.
Wow.
But at that time, I'm now looking from above. I'm seeing
Oh.
everything from above.
Oh,
And I'm like looking down at my car going, ooh, that ain't good.
right.
Right. And so I'm seeing that. And then I feel this big presence behind me. And I hear these words that say, are you ready? And I knew what that meant. But I didn't turn around to see.
Yeah.
I was just in this panic, like, well, I can't survive that. But
Uh-huh.
no, I'm not ready.
Yeah.
And when I said that, bam, I was back in the back seat of my four-door Honda that was now a two-door Honda Accord. My my seatbelt broke, the seat broke, and I was in this little ball once again in the very back seat in the middle, but this time with a mouthful of glass because all my windows and everything had flown out.
Right.
And they said they don't even know how I didn't fly out of the car
Yeah.
from that impact.
Yeah. Wow.
So what happened next is what really, really shook me.
Mm-hmm.
The police officer comes to my door and says, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I tried so hard to get him off the road so he wouldn't hurt anyone.
Right.
And then there was another man and he said, Sir, are you okay? He said, No, no, I'm not okay. I should have killed her.
Mm.
Oh, he said that. It was like a vision went in my mind now, and I knew what he meant. What he meant was he was the car that I saw. It was a big truck carrying tractors behind him.
Right.
And I'm like, I can't survive that. He was supposed to come over me, crush me. He
Ah.
wouldn't have been able to stop.
Right.
But I only remembered that when he said that because that's what I saw. So I'm like, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
You're in that moment. And he goes, but I don't know. In a split second, somebody took my steering wheel and put me into oncoming traffic where I didn't kill her. I don't know how that happened.
Wow.
And I was
Yeah.
like, I connected the two.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, go to the hospital. They check me out. There's nothing wrong with me.
Mm.
They send me home.
Mm.
I have the whiplash and all of that, but
Right.
things that I can heal from. But it shook me again.
Right.
What just happened? Now I was in a place where I heard voices, right?
Oh, right.
Now Now I know I was in another dimension where I saw something. Now I know
Yeah.
something else exists beyond here,
Right.
right? Because I was there. I was
Yeah.
there. And so
And
now I had to explore it.
yes.
So all of a sudden I started hearing voices again.
Ah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
is this real?
Right.
And that opened my mediumship. So I started testing, just doing for friends and neighbors and anyone that would want a session just to see how accurate it was.
Uh-huh.
Well, then I reached out to Dr. Gary Schwartz at the Human Energy Lab in
Mm-hmm.
Tucson, Arizona at the U of A.
Right.
And Dr. Julie Beischel was they were both testing mediums at the time.
Right.
And so I had read his book, The Afterlife Experiments.
Mm-hmm.
And then I read a book that was by Susie Smith, The Afterlife Codes. And Susie, I felt I needed to get a message to her,
Uh-huh.
to Susie. And so I was like, well, I'll get it through Gary, but maybe he'll test me.
Ah.
Well, so I did a lot of searching. I finally got his email and I wrote this whole thing. And I was kind of persistent because I didn't let him off the hook. Every so often I would keep bugging him, like, you need to listen. I have a
Right.
message. Da, da, da,
Yeah.
da. That's what caught his eye. I have a message from Susie.
Really.
Susie. And so he's like, He sends Julie up to my house.
Yeah.
And I said, I want to be tested. I want to see what I'm getting is real. And she says, well, Deborah, I need to tell you something. You said you had a message from Susie Smith. I said, yeah, I do. And she goes, well, Susie Smith was the founder of our Human Energy Lab.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like a grandmother with Gary Schwartz. And
Oh.
she's Gary, because she passed. She told Gary that she will send mediums to the center that says, I have a message for Susie, from Susie. I had like goosebumps.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Was feeling the persistence. That's why I was feeling the push. It wasn't just me, it was her.
Yeah, yeah.
I started learning how spirit works through you too. And
Right.
now the voice, and then I got tested and I became a certified lab medium because I went through all their rigorous testing, and it was good because it gave me the confidence to know what
Mm-hmm.
I was receiving was true.
Yeah,
But it was definitely difficult. I mean, there's no way
sure.
you debunk it, right?
Oh, yeah,
But
yeah,
that showed me that, you know what, I can do this. And
yeah.
so that led into my mediumship.
Right.
So I did that for many, many years. And in fact, one of my greatest, I would say, mediumship with spirit is when spirit used their own voice. And I
Mm.
always say this to people: spirit has a voice. Be careful what you say. Be careful what you do,
Yeah.
because you can be caught saying the wrong things. So what I say is, this story hit the Psychic News magazine um, in 2015, that went all around the world in every Barnes and Noble. And what happened was the networks here wanted to tape a live cold reading, but they wanted to bring in the client so that I knew nothing about them.
Right. Yeah.
But we were recording, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I have Marita, which is the person she wants to connect with, is the aunt. And then I have Marita's mother, which would
Uh-huh.
be the aunt's sister. And I have the nephew. They're all sitting there.
Right.
And so she's like, well, I'm just supposed to start connecting, right? So she starts talking to her so she knows that it's her. Like, you know what? You had your hair cut yesterday and you were so worried about the bangs that you have cut for this TV show today that you just could, you were so upset. And she's like, uh-huh, right? Like, uh-huh, that happened.
Yeah.
And so she would say things to the nephew, like, I know you started college and I know that your studies are hard. Like, she was giving hard facts, right?
Yeah.
Evidential
Right.
evidence. And so she didn't deny it. So all of a sudden in my mind, I said, well, do you want to talk to her about your passing? Oh boy.
Mm.
It was like a movie. It went in my mind.
Ah.
What I had to do now is tell this woman that her aunt was murdered.
Oh my.
It
Wow.
was one of the hardest things I had to do because I didn't know what she thought of. So I said, would you like to talk about your aunt's passing? And she says, oh, well, I was told that she had a heart attack and that she had like stomach issues.
Right.
And I go, I had to be very gentle, right? Because it wasn't something that you could just say. So I knew that the loved one on the other side is like, make sure you tell her I'm okay first.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure she's aware of this. So my
Yeah.
words were very, very, like you have to really, you get the information and then you really have to know how to deliver it.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
when I delivered that message, I was able to give descriptions of your aunt was murdered. She was suffocated.
Oh.
They wanted her house. They made her sign documents to sign her house over.
Oh my
She didn't
gosh.
want, so there was a fight.
Yikes.
Description of the man that did it, and I gave a name.
Wow.
What she did is she went back to Peru. I didn't even know what happened in Peru. She went back in Peru and she had her aunt's body exhumed. And when the body was exhumed, they re-ruled her passing that it was asphyxiation.
Mm.
And so that point on, they went for a paper trace. They could tell that the documents for her house were signed, like I said.
Yeah.
And then there was another set after she passed that were signed. How was that? Right. So
Ah.
they were able to figure that out.
Right.
And then she called me one day, which was about 6 months after the session. After we give readings, we don't know. We just give the information. We don't know what's going to come from it.
Sure.
So I pick up the phone and she's like, Deborah, this is Marita. Marita, this is Marita from Peru. Well, we found Marcos. We got him. I go, what?
No.
What?
Wow.
She says, yes. I asked who that man was on the street, and they told me that that's the man, and that's the man by your description. So we have him. He admitted, and he is serving 20 years in the Peru prison.
She actually gave you the information about her murder and murderer, and you were able to pass that on. That is crazy.
It's fascinating because no one knew. So
Yeah.
it was helping investigators, right?
Yeah. Right.
So
Was there
like,
any suspicion at all that it might have been murder, or was it always just thought that it was a heart attack?
I think she had suspicion,
Uh-huh.
did, but she didn't let the producers know. That she's just like, oh, I just want to talk to my aunt, because they were like, Deborah, we're so sorry. We didn't know it was going to be this heavy. We just thought it was going to be something simple,
Right.
So
Yeah.
no one knew. And she, she hired an investigator after that, and she took all the information. And of course, they're like, Deborah, do you want to come down to Peru? I'm like, no,
No,
no, thank you.
no, no bueno.
But no.
Uh,
So that was one of my, saying that we are the ones that allow spirit to have their voice. We are the ones to bring it through and to give it exactly how it's portrayed. We don't know what that message is. We just have to trust it. And that's where I really learned the trust between this world and that world.
So, questions for you just about that and the development of this mediumship ability for you. I'm curious about the voices that you were hearing, if they're distinct, or if it's meaning that there are different voices that you hear depending on who's communicating, or if it is just a voice that you've been able to discern from what you hear in your head as your own voice.
It's never my voice. That's how I can tell that the words are coming from someone else.
Okay.
However, there are times when it's as loud as I'm talking to you.
Right.
And it'll get my attention. So, and then I know, okay, that was a male voice. That was a female voice. But then there's times where, you're hearing it in your mind, and that same voice is always that same monotone.
Uh-huh.
Unless I hear like a funny giggle, and I'm like, oh, they have a funny giggle. Like, they'll show different things.
Oh,
so
okay.
It all depends on how they want to work with me.
I see.
And I really believe, like, if the spirit is, like, she was determined. This aunt was determined. I'm going to get this. And she pushed a movie through my mind. So I didn't even hear the words at first. I saw the whole vision.
Yeah.
I saw it all play out like a movie in my mind where I couldn't deny it. It was like, whew.
Yeah.
Just like it was engulfed in me. Yeah.
Right. So I think maybe, I don't know, but I hear, because I talk to many different people who have mediumship abilities, and they do vary. And I think it's almost less people that I know hear and they see things. And I remember specifically, I know you know Suzanne Wilson, and Suzanne and Tina Powers were teaching a course on mediumship, and Suzanne, I think, is very visual, and she also has, for her, it would be the equivalent of sort of a dream diary or dream symbols. They're the spirit symbols. They're different things that they will show her that give her a message that she knows what it means when she sees that, and it might mean something for everybody else, but for Suzanne, she has very specific meanings tied to these things. And so I know she's visual. I don't know that she's that auditory. It's interesting that you have both.
Yeah, there was one time I was talking, and I was speaking about my mediumship and my healing abilities. And at the end of the speaking, this woman in the back held her hand up, and all of a sudden I saw this little girl walk down the aisle. No one else could see her.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay.
Uh-huh.
And at that moment, she goes, oh, I just wanted to let you know that when I came and saw you, and I told you that, we were connecting to my granddaughter. I'm like, uh-huh. And she's like, well, you were right that she did die from from the shot that she got from the doctors.
Oh.
They were able to test that. And so I was like, and you didn't want to tell me? Like, she's like, well, I just thought you'd be too busy. No, 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 we are not too busy. We want to hear these things.
Yeah.
But I saw the little girl, so I had to say, well, she's here right now. She just walked up. It was like she was talking, and she's like, I'm going to stand on stage. I'm proud. This is about me. It was so cute. So you don't know how they're gonna come up. But with Suzanne Wilson, I get what she did because I do that too.
Hmm.
We become so in tune with spirits that we learn almost through our own way how to communicate and what's the best way that they're going to get that message to us.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so they know in our mind, like if I say Paris, right, and I say, oh, I'm seeing the Eiffel Tower.
Hmm.
I never had a friend named Paris. The person might say, oh, well, that's my daughter's name.
Right.
But I saw the Eiffel Tower. Like, so you don't know how it's all going to connect, but they'll
Right.
use
Yes.
anything to get those symbols to you. Yes.
Very interesting. So now tell me, because this is still only just part of the of the journey, which is
Yeah.
amazing. But at this point, in this particular stage where you are with this shift, did you? So then you move forward, I guess, with helping people by offering mediumship to people who wanted to make those connections, I'm guessing. Is that true?
That is true. That's exactly what I did. And so then that's what I started to do as a small business. You know,
Hmm.
I was a mom, I was a stay-home mom, but I wanted to do this. And it's like practicing. The more you do, the better you're going to get. And I
Right.
just was, I was like so engulfed with spirit. I wanted to become like a partnership with them. You know, let's work, let's do this together. We can help people. So
Yeah.
that was
Right.
one way that, you know, I see healing. Healing
Hmm.
is in mediumship.
Right.
And
I
well,
agree.
as soon as I started seeing healing in the mediumship, then they're like,
Sure.
well, let's take it another step. And I'm like, didn't know what that meant. So, yeah.
Next shift.
So yeah, next shift, and I became sick. Became really, really sick, and I was being seen by Mayo Clinic doctors. Nobody could discover what was wrong with me, and I didn't look at it as a lesson right away
Hmm.
because I was like, a lesson can't be where I'm gonna die. I wanted to die. I was in so much pain
Yeah.
that I was asking, you know, God, the universe, just take me. This
Right.
is no fun. I'm sitting here laying in a fetus position, not able to eat, not able to leave the house. If I did eat just even like a tiny piece of corner of like a crack or a little sip of
Hmm.
water, I'd be in pain for 24 hours.
Mm.
And
Mm.
I'm talking the pain like having a child, excruciating pain.
Wow.
And so
Yeah.
um, there was a morning that I woke up and I saw this light and I felt, take me. I'm ready to take my last breath.
Mm.
But I saw spiritual surgeons come into the room.
Mm.
That's different, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, what are they going to do?
Right.
And what happened is they started going into my abdomen, and I was able to see it. That was crazy. I was feeling it as human, but I was
Uh-huh.
seeing it as spirit, and I was seeing like this pus that was coming out of my right side, and they were just squeezing it, and the
Mm.
pain was so excruciating that it'd be like a strawberry that you're trying to get squished through the straw, you
Yeah.
know, that you
Yeah.
and I'm like,
Right.
oh, I gotta go through this. Oh, well, eventually as they continued to work, I started floating up.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so I felt myself as if I was taking my last breath.
Right.
I wasn't afraid of it. I
Yeah.
wasn't fighting it. I didn't be like, oh no, 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 I don't want to leave.
Mm-hmm.
I felt at peace. I felt safe.
Right.
And all of a sudden I transcended to a place that was all white. It was just all white.
Wow.
And I was looking around because I felt like I'm the only one here. Like, where am I?
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden in front of me, I saw these hands go like this.
Yeah.
And then the next minute, I'm in those hands.
Ah.
right?
Yeah.
But now I'm seeing it. Like I'm watching this. Like I'm watching myself,
Right.
and I don't have to talk because I can talk with my mind.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm feeling this beautiful light, this beautiful love. I'm feeling this is the place to be. I am in no pain.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And what I saw is what I describe as my God, right? We all
Mm-hmm.
have different visions. And I believe that we are given different visions of what we expect or what we think God is. God is love to me.
Mm-hmm.
I felt love. But I saw myself being carried. And I took my body and placed it on a beam of light, just right
Oh,
on this beam. And I just
yeah.
was laying there. Now, my spirit standing next to this great light, this beam. And I never really, I was just standing. And I was like, I'm ready. I'm ready. Like this time
Uh-huh.
I'm ready. I'm
Right.
ready to be. It's like, no, come with me. And we went into this little space. It was like a little dome. And we were going in this cave like dome that was white because the universe was not supposed to hear this. It was just supposed to be between me and God.
Mm-hmm.
And on this table lays this long piece of paper, and it says, "This is your life contract. You're all born with one."
Ah,
Oh, my exact thought too.
how
Oh,
about that?
I didn't know. And I heard you're on borrowed time, but you can go back. I said, "Well, I don't want to go back. I'm suffering. I don't want to go. I don't want to suffer."
Right.
And it's like, "You'll go back healthy." And on the contract, he says, if you sign this, I'm signing it too, right? So on the contract, it says, remember this day, 1/21/12. All numbers are reversible, and so is this.
Hmm.
That's pretty powerful. But then I was like, but I like this place. Like I'm here, I'm questioning, but I
I
like
like this place.
it
Yeah.
here. And so I read on the contract there were other words: joy, empowerment, prosperity, and voice. So I thought, voice, that's easy. That's my mediumship. Okay. And he's like, you'll have a new mission. This is going to be your new mission.
Hmm.
So, and I gave my oath. I signed. It was like, this is what you're doing.
Right.
And I said, can I just stay here for a little while longer? No, time for you to go back. And as I was coming back into my body, I can remember going, oh, like taking my breath.
Yeah.
I thought, am I a different person? What just happened? Spiritual surgeons weren't there.
Yeah.
And so I had to sit with this and say, well, what is this? What am I going through? Is this a lesson? Is this another something I need to learn?
Mm-hmm.
What's happening? And so I started to self-heal by saying, okay, I'm going to start eating just a little bit. I started, and I was able to eat though. That was the miraculous part. I was able to eat, even if it was a little bit. I was able to gradually eat and eat and eat, where I was getting healthier and healthier and healthier.
Yeah.
And I questioned, spirit, universe, God. I said,
Yeah.
um, why don't I know what this was? Like,
Mm-hmm.
your family's like, well, was that real? Are you sure? Doctors couldn't find it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I know, I experienced it. I know what I went through.
Sure. Yeah.
And it was a long time. And I was down to 90 pounds. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
You could see it.
Something's
I
not
mean,
right. Yeah.
I saw my friends look at my eyes and go, whoa.
Mm-hmm.
That's like they're looking at death in their eyes, and I'm like, oh, that can't be good what they're seeing.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I was told that you would never ever know what that was because you become attached to it. So that's powerful. That would mean I
Right.
said I had it, or I still have it, or
Right.
it now it was never a part of me. It was gone,
Yeah.
and I never had to own it. So that really
Yeah.
resonates with me.
Yeah. Me too.
Well,
A question, just real quick, just because you mentioned it, and because I have really no concept at all, and maybe viewers don't know either. Tell me just about the spiritual surgeons and just like what you experienced, like what did they look like to you, and were they
They
working
look
on
like
physical body or your spiritual bodies? And I'm just so curious about that.
they were working on my physical body because I was actually physically feeling it.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, I was saying, you know,
Right.
I was physically feeling it. I saw them plain as day
Yeah.
with the surgeon masks on,
Really.
wearing the scrubs.
Yeah.
They were in the room. There were quite a few of them,
Yeah.
and so I trusted them.
Right.
There was a
Right.
trust there,
Yeah.
and so I remember them cutting me open.
Wow. Wow.
So, but I saw that. I didn't feel that. I
Yeah.
felt
But
the
you.
actual pain when they were in there working on it. But
Yeah.
then it was interesting as they were working on me. After I was like in so much pain, I was relieved of the pain. My
Yeah.
spirit got to leave while
Right.
my body was continuing to be worked on, which is so beautiful
Yeah.
because they could work on me at the same time I was having my experience.
Do you think that similar to when you're getting medium messages and so symbols are given that you will understand so that you can clearly convey a message, do you feel that they came in the appearance of earth doctors with scrubs and masks and all like that, just so that you knew that they were doctors and that you would feel comfortable that way, as opposed to in some other form?
Could have. I believe so. I mean, because they have to let me know what's going on. If
Right.
I would have saw just a spirit show up with a knife, I'd be like, doo 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 doo, you know, like okay, right? Like, come on,
Suddenly
like,
you're in
like,
Nightmare on
can I
Elm
get up and
Street, you know?
leave? There's a difference, right? I mean, think about it. Do you want to have peace or do you want to have horror, right? So
Well,
they're
whichever
gonna come
heals
to
first, you
you.
know?
Well, I would have been gone for sure, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
But
interesting.
yeah, so I do believe they came in a form, and I do believe that they're sent just like in my car wreck, in a divine intervention form.
Right.
And so, you know, I never put my hand out to feel them. That's the one thing I wish I would have did. Would have
Ah,
I went
yeah,
through them? Would have I
right.
felt them
That
physically?
would have been
I was
interesting.
just so out. But I
Sure.
really feel that they were giving me anesthesia too. That
Hmm.
they gave me medicine and that's allowed me to go.
Right. So, but then you
It
got
is,
to do something that is so way cool because you got you got some time to be in the presence of God, and then you got to, you know, add to your journey, to your life mission here, which is really so interesting. I haven't really heard of that before. I've heard of people seeing their Akashic record, or you know, and people are aware of life contracts, but that's really cool that you got to amend it and say, okay, moving forward.
well, yeah, and I had a choice. So when I came back, I didn't read the whole contract.
Oh, oops.
And
You mean, wait a second,
I
God
didn't
has
know it was
fine
going to
print in
be
his
as
contracts too?
so, yeah, a little humorous there. Um, wasn't funny, but what
No.
happened was as I was healing, the spiritual surgeons really taught me something because now as a healer, they come into the room to heal my clients. And so I still see them today.
Oh,
Okay.
oh, right.
So, and I was being taught through myself of
Yeah,
what I was going to do.
right.
And so when I came back and I took that breath, am I the same person?
Mm-hmm.
I came back heightened. It was like a jolt that went through me. It was
Right.
like all of a sudden I had this ability to heal.
Yeah. Wow.
And it was miraculous. And so
Yeah.
I, you know, wanted to see. I went. I was seeing friends again. You know, you're tapping into other people that have
Mm-hmm.
illness or whatnot. And one of the family members, distant family members, came distant. It was remote. That she had tongue cancer,
Mm.
and they were going to cut her tongue off
Oh,
because, and so she'd lose the ability to talk and to swallow and all of that. And so she was
oh,
so afraid. And I said,
yeah,
what do we have to lose? Right?
yeah,
What do we have to, and so we did this healing on her. And at the time I was working with a partner of mine, and she did like Reiki, the energy, right?
uh-huh,
And I was seeing and doing and hearing. And I saw the spiritual surgeons, and I saw them kind of take that layer off and then put light on it, healing light.
mm,
And she went into surgery. We didn't know what she was going to come out of surgery like. And so I was driving later that day, and I knew she was in surgery, and this huge raven just kept following me. And I'm like, she's okay.
oh,
Spirit's letting me know that she's okay. And the mom, as soon as I got parked, the mom texted me and said, it's gone.
oh,
There's no cancer.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's just like, it's just like this opened my mediumship. There's
right,
certain ones that you heal that open that door and say, this is real.
right, yes, yeah,
And so I started seeing miracles after miracles doing this work. And
yeah,
so now I use my mediumship and my healing together.
yeah,
And so I can see the spirits, I can hear, but that word voice, what's so cool about that is this is how I say it. I move my humanness aside,
mm-hmm,
okay? And I allow my body to be the instrument for spirit to use, God, the universe, whatever you want to call it,
yeah,
in every way, shape, or form. So I can be the proxy for the person I'm healing, and I will know everything about them without them telling me anything.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I record it, and now I'm sending it to Shanghai, China, to Australia, and going,
mm-hmm,
you're wearing a kidney bag, you have a bad kidney, it comes off on your right side. I mean,
mm-hmm,
these are pretty profound statements to say.
yeah,
Send it off and go, wow, that was something.
yeah,
And then emails back and say, you were spot on. How would you know that? You know nothing about me.
right,
And
yeah,
there was one that was very interesting. It was a woman who she didn't even think she was going to make it to the date of the healing. And she was from Texas, so it was remote. And I saw her. I saw her come into my vision, and I saw her as a little girl. So I'm like, oh,
mm,
wow, I'm seeing you like in a mirror. Here's you, and here's you as little. And then I was shown that at that age is when it all started, the root of the problem. That
wow,
her dad abused her, her mom was dying, and her dad was so angry with her that he took her outside. This is horrible. He took her outside, and she had newborn puppies, and he shot them in front of her.
oh, oh,
Yeah. Well, as a 7-year-old, you don't know how to heal that.
mm,
You move on from it. That was in here.
mm,
That was so we healed, we pulled, we got rid of it. And she listened to it and said, I forgot about that.
yeah,
Just let it go. And she said, oh my gosh, that all three of those things happened.
yeah,
And so she was able to hear, listening to those words, that
oh,
voice that
yeah,
came through. And she's hiking, walking, and they had given her a month to live, and she's full of life.
yeah, yeah,
So you talk about the voice and just surrendering yourself,
mm-hmm,
letting spirit show it in your mind.
right,
I feel it in my body. I have to go through the pain like I did when I was being healed for my clients.
mm,
And people listen to it, go, oh, Deborah, I'm so sorry. I heard you in so much pain. I feel so bad. I said, do not feel bad.
yeah,
Because when you feel something, it becomes undeniable, right?
right,
Like,
yeah,
oh my gosh, I got punched in the arm. That hurt. I felt it. If I
uh-huh,
said, oh my gosh, I got punched in the arm, but I didn't feel it, would I really trust it?
right, right,
So God, I say God as love, shows me everything. I feel everything on the body that they're going through, and then I see spiritual surgeons come and heal it.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Mm-hmm.
my intention is that everybody receives the miracle they deserve.
Right.
What does that mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, my humanness means I want it to be completely healed, like Elizabeth Boysen's
Mm-hmm.
father. I don't know if you heard about that.
No,
He
tell me
was
that.
healed. Oh, okay. So he came in for a healing session, and Elizabeth, he did it for the love of his daughters and family. Like, okay, I'm going to go to this woo woo, these two healers. Yep. What are they going to do for me? And he's a doctor himself, so he's like, all
Yeah.
right, let's see what you got, right? Well, his session, it was super hard on me. I saw that he had cancer in his brain and his spine,
Hmm.
and they had to pull it out. That healing probably took me down like the rest of the day, the rest of the nights, almost into the next day. It was so draining.
Hmm.
And I saw the spiritual surgeons. I saw the light go through it, the whole bit. And
Right.
he heard me go through pain. But when we were done, he's like, "All right, that was really different. We'll see." Like he didn't feel anything,
Yeah.
right?
Right. Right.
And as a skeptic and as a doctor, you're just going to be like,
Whatever.
we'll
Yeah.
see. So 5 days later, he had gone for, after his healing, he had gone for an MRI and a
Uh-huh.
spinal tap.
Right.
5 days later, they get the call that something must have went wrong because there's no cancer there. And so can we run another test? And he's
I
like,
love
yeah,
it. I love that something must have gone wrong.
it's testing. Well, because
Yeah.
what do you do, right?
Yeah.
So I remember Elizabeth telling the doctors, like, oh, he's going to be fine. And so they even questioned her, like, well, how did you know? How
Huh.
did you know?
Right.
And he's like, her dad's like, I'm not answering that. You can ask
You
Elizabeth.
answer. Yeah.
But what happened was, within that week,
Yeah.
he was completely healed,
Yeah. Yeah.
completely healed. So we can go to big things like that. We can go to little things as a wisdom tooth being healed. Or
Right.
we can be as, I've had somebody that was dying come to me and say, I'm thinking, is that right? Do I do somebody that's dying? Could I heal them? What could I give them? What's going to happen?
Yeah.
And it was peace before passing. Her father came through and said that he was going to be with her. And he described himself in a suit, which he hated wearing suits. So she laughed. And so in her passing, she looked at her husband and said, my dad's here. I'm ready.
Ah.
So see how the miracle and the healing
Yes.
gave in a way,
Right.
in a different form than
Yeah.
what as we humanly think, what is a miracle? And that's why I wrote the book Proof of Miracles, because I wanted people to read different forms that miracles can come in.
And they do come in all different ways. And I think the beautiful thing about a miracle is that shift in your perspective. And I think that the thing that makes it a miracle is it being something that you wouldn't necessarily have thought was possible. So that can be a lot of things. It can be, have to be open to how that may manifest. And it may not be your expectation, but, they're happening all the time.
So I want to explain to you too, like how I do a session.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people
Great.
think, well, how do you do a healing, right? I do all my healings remotely because I really feel like when you send that recording for them to listen to,
Yeah.
that's their aha moment.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
That's when they get to really hear it. I ask them to lay down at the same time I am that same hour. And it's interesting. I've had a woman that I felt like she had bile cancer, and I felt like I was throwing up bile. Ooh, I'm going to throw up bile.
Oh.
Well, at that same time, as I was saying that, she was sitting in her chair relaxing. She started throwing up bile.
Oh.
So when she listened to it, and her friend listened to it, they're like, what?
Huh.
What?
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
And so you may feel emotions, you may feel energy, you won't feel pain.
Right.
Right? So
Yeah.
you might feel the presence of love come to you. You might feel energy traveling through your legs, whatever it is. So that's the remote part of it. But I tap into a frequency and energy, and I align with God, myself, and you too. And that's where, and I see this beam of light comes right down into your solar plexus.
Yeah.
That's where it all begins, the
Right.
power.
Yeah.
And so not everybody, because there's different prices, right, that I charge for a healing versus a distant. And I want to make sure that it's affordable for everybody.
Right. Yeah.
So I decided to do distant groups.
Mm-hmm.
And what's wonderful about a group, and I'm sure you believe this, that the more that gather with the same intention, how it raises that vibration in the room.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
So the difference is private, you're going to get all the messages for you,
Yeah.
right? In a group, I'm getting the messages, but I believe each group is formed. Like I have one coming up that is formed of all children. How did that happen?
Uh-huh. Right. Yeah.
Right? Because then
Yeah.
my words can change.
Yeah.
And the voice that comes through says things that are going to mean something to each and every one of you.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be speaking. I say, never, ever. Just don't say that word didn't belong with me. Hold on to those words in your sacred cup, because there's things that will happen that you might not be aware of that were healed so that you didn't get it. Right? And so I always say, just accept all the words as if I'm speaking to you. But I'm telling you, I've had huge groups from people all over the world, and then I put them all together.
Yeah.
And it's like each person was touched and what they got and what they received. And it's
Yeah.
like, this is so awesome.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
why I thank you for having me, on your show to spread this. Like, look
Yeah.
at what can happen.
Sure.
It's amazing.
Right. Yeah. You're creating a field, and it's a field of, that's why, as you say, all the children came together, because there was that commonality, and then, and that was what that field needed for each one of them. And it's hard for us with our third dimensional perspectives to think of it that way, but there really isn't the physicalness about it. It's all about that field and everybody's participation in that.
It is. And I also believe that everybody's guided. The right people are
Yeah.
guided. The spirits working behind the scenes
Absolutely.
to get it
Yeah.
to form it. And then
Right.
I mean we're holding hands worldwide. How cool is that?
Yeah, it's very cool.
Right? And
It's
and
very
we're
cool.
all surrounded with that love that
Yeah.
heals.
Well, and
Yeah.
chances are that when it happens that way, that it isn't limited then to just to those participating, but it radiates and ripples outward from the from the group, and and I think that's a really cool thing about it, being that interaction over such a over a global scale.
Right. It's I just call it miraculous because I'm in awe in every situation that I get to see and get to witness.
Yeah.
I'm the person doing it, but I get to witness it after.
Right.
Oh,
I
I'm
know.
like, I'm in the awe moment too. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
tell me more. So
That's
it's
way
like
cool.
you'll get the emails and they'll say, "Oh, Deborah, I hope I'm not bothering you, and I just wanted to let you know." And I'm like, and I'm reading and reading and reading, like, oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
so exciting.
Yeah.
It's exciting to have that connection, and I feel that I came back on 1/21/12 with that mission
Mm-hmm.
to to do that. Now, in order to do that, life wasn't always that easy because I had to make decisions. How much did this mean to me? What was I willing? How far was I going to go in order to do this work?
Right. Yeah.
And the husband that I loved very, very much, this wasn't part of his mission.
Mm.
And so we had to walk separate ways. And I honor him for that. I do, because he spoke his truth to me. If
Uh-huh.
he didn't speak his truth and honor who he was, it would have held me down.
Right.
And so he allowed me to go, but that didn't come, without a price. It was hard.
Yeah.
But it also made me, I think it showed to the universe that I meant this,
Mm-hmm.
that I was going to stand strong in this.
Yeah.
and that I didn't waver.
Right.
And so I don't waver at all. I trust everything. And so trusting Spirit's voice, trusting the voice that comes through in the healings. I
Right.
mean, to send these MP3s and you go, wow, that was a ride. You have no idea what we just did in this session.
Yeah.
Because when I say that was a ride, what happens is there's a lot of people that have lost loved ones
Mm-hmm.
and they want to connect with those loved ones. So instead of having a reading, why not have a reading and a healing?
Yeah.
What does that mean? That means we're going to take a spiritual journey.
Yeah.
And I'm going to, a vision, just like the one in Marita's, will come in my mind
Mm-hmm.
that's created for me to take you to meet with to be with your loved one.
Yeah.
Now, I have a client, several clients, but this one in particular, he actually felt the body, the embrace of his son. He said he could feel the skeleton. He knew it was him. He could just feel him. And they had a conversation, and he told him things that only the two of them would have known.
Mm-hmm.
And he never shared with anyone else. And it's actually written in my Proof of Miracles book, that story.
Oh,
and
great.
it shows how we can take these spiritual journeys. We don't have to just hear them. We can greet with them. We can embrace them. We can be there with them in that other dimension.
So, Debra, you mentioned private sessions. You mentioned the group sessions. You've also mentioned your book. I'm sure there's a place where people can go to find where they can connect with you and where they could find out more about how to get a session, or where they could find your book too. So where do people need to go to do that?
I would suggest go to my website at
Mm-hmm.
Golden Miracles with an S, goldenmiracles.com. And so they can learn more. There's videos there. There's about the books. They'll say about my healings. There's a tab about my readings. And if that's too confusing and you want to hear, you want to have a direct connection, I have an assistant named Valerie. Email her at goldenmiracles@cox.net, and
Okay.
she will answer any questions that you have.
Yeah, great. And also, what's actually kind of special and kind of fun for people who are watching this, they would be able to see you in person because you're going to be at the Soul Summit Scottsdale in September. So now tell me a little about what you're going to be doing there at Soul Summit.
I'm really excited because it's going to be a fun night. This is something I've never done before.
Uh-huh.
Suzanne invited me to be on the panel board with George Norrie, and I've been on George Norrie from Coast to Coast AM.
Right. Yeah.
And he's going to be the speaker announcer, and we're gonna play a game. We're gonna reverse roles here for our night, and we're gonna see how psychic the audience is.
Oh,
And
fun.
it's kind of like who's telling the truth tonight, and
Right.
it's just an evening of seeing me and other mediums and other speakers where we're just being our normal self,
Right,
that
yeah.
we're, sometimes you're like, oh, are they always on? Or, are they seeing spirit everywhere they go?
Right.
And you're just being able to play with people and get them to see me in a different light. And so I'm so excited for this.
Yeah, I was at last year. It was called AREI, so they've renamed it this year, the Soul Summit. But George Norrie had a panel last year too. It was a blast. I mean, and it's like you say, because everybody's just kind of being themselves, and so it was funny, but it was very metaphysical. It was very profound, and just and it was just really, really great fun. It's well worth it to go because of the caliber of the people who are there, and of course people get a chance to see you, and I think it's going to be a good time.
It's going to be, and we'll do live readings too if spirit comes through. So it's going to be so fun, and actually, not just that night, but the whole conference is something people should check out, because look at me in the beginning. I was searching.
Right.
And if you have questions, and it's It's right here in Phoenix. Like if you live in Phoenix, this is an open door for you. Why wouldn't
Yeah.
you want to go and explore? Because when we explore, we learn, and then maybe it's going to put you on a whole nother path, like it did me, where you don't have to go through a car accident to get it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, and not just Phoenix too, but shoot, if you're in Southern California area or Las Vegas area or anything, yeah, the conferences are great. And usually, I don't know if you're doing this, but people, they also have booths, so you can go and you can visit them, and you can. And I know this year they're going to have what did Suzanne call it? Intuition lane or something like that, and there'll just be people that you can get a reading. You can I'm sure that there's going to be healing activity going on there. It's really fun. It's a great experience.
It's a way for people to explore.
Yeah.
With and really, I always welcome the skeptic. Come see, try.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
this is the place to do it, because
Yep.
you're able to sit back, or actually, like you say, walk through down that lane and test it, feel it. It's like going into a toy store, oh, can I play with that before I buy it, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing. Before I seek
Right.
them out, can I get to know them? So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
really fun.
Well, Debra, thank you so much for being here today and for sharing your story and sharing your experiences with people. And I know that it's the kind of thing, the kind of information that just really helps open those doors of possibility for people, so that they know that, in fact, there is something larger going on than most of us are really aware of at any given time.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I really had a fun time, and I'm open to anybody that if they have more questions, that they can email us, and we can go from there as well.
Well, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And that is Debra Martin. And if you're interested in a private session with her, or if you're interested in maybe the group sessions or her book, or even just more information, you can find that on her website. And also, I would highly encourage, if you're, again, in Southern California, if you're in Arizona area, if you're, close by, go to Soul Summit. It's September 12th through the 15th, so it's coming up. And that's going to be an amazing time. You get a chance to see Debra actually in person too, and be a lot of fun. So thank you for being here with us today on another episode of Superpowers. And remember to go out there and experience the extraordinary.